The Baltimore Ravens have hired their new linebackers coach, Tyler Santucci. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing the Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. The goal is before next season starts, so make sure to subscribe. Mock Draft Monday comes out tomorrow. But let's jump right into this video. The Baltimore Ravens moved on from their previous linebackers coach, and obviously Zachary Orr was the former linebackers coach, so it was a position of need or a position coach of need, and I think they've done a very good job. They hired Tyler Santucci. I'm going to go through his resume right now. Let me know in the comments what you think about him. First off, he was a linebacker in college, so that is what he knows best. He was a linebacker at Stony Brook. He went to coach at Stony Brook after he was done playing. He coached there until 2013, and then he switched over to Wake Forest. He coached as a grad assistant in defensive line, and then linebacker in 2015, and then he shifted over to Texas State as the linebackers coach. He shifted to Notre Dame as a defensive analyst in 2017, defensive analyst for Texas A&M in 2018, Wake Forest linebackers coach 2019, 2 years as Texas A&M's linebackers coach, and then he was the co-DC / linebackers coach in Texas A&M, and then he became the Duke defensive coordinator and linebackers coach, the Georgia Tech defensive coordinator and linebackers coach, and now he's the Baltimore Ravens linebackers coach. First thing that I really like about him, he's 36 years old. That puts him as a really young coach in the NFL, not the youngest coach in the NFL, but a younger mind, and you pair that with Zachary Orr, another young mind, but then you still have guys like Chuck Pagano, you still have guys like Dean Pease still in the organization, still helping out these defensive coaches. So I think that's a really smart move. I like the hiring of the veteran coaches, the great coaches, formerly as assistants. And then you also have the young up and coming defensive players and coordinators that the Ravens are trying to bring in. Shout out to Ravens Nation, live at Live Raven Nation on Twitter. They posted a little bit of his resume. I'm going to go through that, but basically Georgia Tech last year took the defense from last to fifth in the ACC. At Duke, he led the ACC's top scoring defense and earned the Broyles Award nomination. Texas A&M, he oversaw the number one pass defense in 2022, and he's coached in 6 bowl games, including the Orange Bowl. So that shows that this guy has been at the level and he's been a winner. And Georgia Tech isn't necessarily the biggest program. Duke isn't necessarily the biggest program, but he's also been at the big programs, right? Analyst at Notre Dame, analyst at Texas A&M, right? And then he's worked as a linebackers coach, and then he's gone up to the defensive coordinator level. But these are good defenses, okay? And these are good defenses on teams that with not necessarily the most spending budget, not necessarily the most NIL money, the highest recruited players in the country on defense, but they're playing in the ACC, a conference with good football teams, right? University of Miami last year, Clemson, Florida State's traditionally good. They were terrible last year. But there's good football teams. You also play, Notre Dame consistently when you play in the ACC. This is a guy that's been a good coordinator and a good linebackers coach for the majority of his career, and pairing him with a guy like Roquan Smith, who is a veteran elite linebacker in the NFL, but also the Ravens are potentially drafting a somewhat early linebacker to replace that hole, because we don't know if Chris Board is going to stick around. We don't know what's going on with Trenton Simpson, and getting kind of someone that's just been really a linebackers coach, I think is really smart, especially when you consider what the Ravens have done with their previous linebackers coaches. That's where they're trying to build their DCs out, apparently, because you look at Mike McDonald, he was the linebackers coach for the Baltimore Ravens for a couple of seasons, went to the DC for Harbaugh in Michigan, came back, was the defensive coordinator. Zachary Orr, linebackers coach, replaced Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald leaves, linebackers coach promoted. They're not going with DB coaches. They're not going with, D-line coaches. They're going with the linebackers coaches. That's where they're trying to build their defense out. This is somebody that they're trusting to help build out the middle of that defense, because last year, for a good chunk of the year, it wasn't necessarily the best. Second half of the year, though, we started getting Chris Board more, snaps, and all of a sudden that really started to pick up. So I think this is a really good hire. I'm not going to, bore you guys with too much analysis on it, because honestly, we don't know that much about him. This is his first stint in the NFL, his first opportunity, but he's 36 years old. He's had success at the collegiate level. I'm excited for the move. Let me know what you think. Now, if you're watching to this point, hopefully the thought is that you like my content. I'm stopping the Ravens portion of the video. I want to give a couple of quick thoughts on Luka Doncic because he was traded last night to the Los Angeles Lakers. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge basketball fan. So if you guys click off the video right now, you don't want to hear my 1 to 2 minute take, totally fine. Subscribe for more. I'll see you again tomorrow. If you do want to hear my take on Luka Doncic, first off, follow me on Twitter. I was tweeting about it all night, all morning. But this is an unbelievable trade. I also tweeted out saying this is like if the Baltimore Ravens traded away Lamar Jackson unprompted for like nothing in return. I don't know if I would still be a fan of the Baltimore Ravens if they did that. Like I would seriously have to question my loyalties to the franchise if they did something like that. So I want to put out an apology to Mavs fans. Because that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. They didn't tell the head coach. They didn't tell Luka. They didn't even tell the rest of the league. They really just offered it to – I read the report. It was a couple of teams, but they really just offered him to the Lakers. And apparently Mark Cuban laughed in Nico's the GM, laughed in his face when he brought up the trade. And he still did it? That's unreal. That is like one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. Luka Doncic is one of the best players in the NBA. Yes, he doesn't play good defense, but he was just in the NBA Finals. That's unbelievably ridiculous. This is the craziest trade of our lifetime. I'm absolutely baffled, but I just wanted to bring that up. If you guys want to hear more basketball takes of mine as I step into the light to get the camera to reset. If you want to hear more basketball takes, more baseball takes, I tweet about them. And, I don't want to make too many videos, but, you guys probably aren't loving, Tyler Santucci content. So I figured I'd add a little bit of basketball spice as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more. Let me know your thoughts on the Luka trade, the Santucci hire. And tomorrow is Mock Draft Monday. So make sure to comment down below, guys, that you think I should draft. Thank you all so much. I'll see you again tomorrow.